If you want, you can go ahead and ask them in the chat. I just want to give everybody about one more minute, see if anybody else shows up. And if not, we'll get going. Thank you all for coming, first of all. So as a reminder, we're going to do the Kahoot after I go through the slides, right? And I will go through the slides a little bit quicker because I know we don't have a lot of time today to do my normal 2 hour session. But at the end of that, we are going to do the Kahoot. So have your mobile phone ready if you want, right? Or however you want to do it. And then, of course, whoever wins the Kahoot, I'm going to send a book to and a little Lego trophy that I made. You guys get my own little craft. So when the bricks get here. So go through it. Hopefully, I plan on getting more of those out in the future. So, all righty, let's go ahead and get started, everyone. So, can everybody hear me okay? We're all good? Remember, you guys can use the reactions and other stuff if you want as we go through it. Most of you I'm familiar with. So, a lot of you are my students. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. And those of you who are not, I want to apologize right now that you have to listen to me for an hour. So they've already had to suffer through it and sought mental health treatment or whatever. So the rest of you will be fine. So anyway, also Derek is my co-host. He's a friend of mine. Remember, if you're in my student class, I talk about Derek. Derek, by the way, I talk about you all the time. So that's the Derek that I'm talking to you about. So he's the co-host. So he's going to answer questions too in the chat as we go through it. So if you have questions, slap him in the chat and he'll answer them as well. Oh, I hear you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So again, first of all, thanks for coming. I am going to record some of this and put some clips on YouTube. So if you leave your video on, I'm just kidding. It'll be just mostly this. But if you don't want to be on there, just let me know. Might have to turn your video off. So first time I've done this, so I'm a little nervous, so I apologize in advance, but let's talk about it, right? So I did put this in here because, it is what it is. I do have 9 more books coming next year, but the one I'm very proud of, and by the way, this is the one I'm going to give someone today. This is the one right here, the career guide. That's the one I'm going to give out for free today. It's an actual physical copy too. I'm not cheap, right? So I'll let you know. And I don't get those as cheap as you'd think I would. It's not as a big discount. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, I wrote the thing. Shouldn't I get a discount? I'm gonna go print it off on my printer here and save like 30 bucks. But I am coming with 9 more books next year, including a book on cyber safety, which I'm kind of excited. That's going to be most of my books are college books, right? They're used in college curriculum, like all the Wiley ones will be and a couple of the other ones. But I'm also doing a Security Plus books next year based on all, if you're one of my students, you know why I would do that. So because we talk about it incessantly in the class, right? And I tell everybody, that's the most important thing is to get the Security Plus. Also, this is what I'm really happy about. This comes out on Monday. So, and all proceeds for this are donated to the Beagle Freedom Project. So I make no money on this kid's book at all. It goes to the BFP, and the BFP is a great charity that rescues beagles that are used in medical research, which honestly shouldn't fricking be a thing in this country, but it is, right? Of all dogs, beagles are used in medical research. So I had a beagle for 12 years until he passed away last year. And so I kind of wrote this book about him, but it's like a Beagle Tron, Nancy Drew kind of like adventure story. So, and I have a couple more planned, but again, all proceeds go to the BFP. So it's for charity. If you guys like to see it, it comes out Monday on Amazon, but if you can go pre-order the Kindle now. And the physical book, I think also releases on Monday. So, and the physical book is real pretty, full color, great, lots of fun. Long live Snoopy, right, Zach? Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Since I was a kid, I love Snoopy. And by the way, when you own a beagle, you're like, oh yeah, Charles Schultz. Yeah, that's exactly why he wrote Snoopy that way. Although I have a mini schnauzer now, and some of you have seen her in my class, and she's taking the cake. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about cyber safety. So and a lot of time I call it cyber hygiene, right? So what is hygiene? We know what hygiene is, right? It's brushing your teeth, combing your hair, cleaning your clothes, getting up every morning, right? The things that we kind of take for granted as being mostly normal human beings. I say mostly because, if you're in the class with me, I have to apologize now. But safety is something that I want to teach you guys some fundamentals of cyber safety. One, to protect yourself, right? That's key, right? But it's kind of like the rule on an airplane, put your mask on first, right? And then, put the mask on the person beside you, right? Or the kid beside you, because I want to make sure that you keep yourself safe. And I'll talk to you about here in a minute about why, but if you can keep yourself safe, you can also keep other people safe. And it also, by taking this class, it gives you talking points to talk to people about, right? So if you want to have a conversation with somebody, always talk about something they're interested in. Not being scammed is probably a great thing to be interested in, right? When you talk to people. And so if you're going to talk to folks, as you go through it, always try to share a little bit of this, right? One thing I do is I volunteer whenever possible. And I did it at a middle school a while back, and it was absolutely fantastic teaching kids about it. And I encourage everybody to do the same thing, right? I encourage everybody to go out there and, volunteer whenever possible and kind of spread this. Another thing is it's called the Feynman technique, that if you teach something, you'll learn something even better, right? So I encourage everyone to go out and try to teach cyber hygiene. So as part of that, I'm going to give a copy of this presentation away at the end that you can take and share with anybody you want, right? You can share it around. Please give it to as many people as you want, right? But what I want you to do is start building a habit of doing the things that are in this presentation. If you do that, it will keep you safe. Now, one thing I always say, right, is that you're already starting from a deficit when it comes to cybersecurity, right? You're already starting from a deficit. You're behind the line. Your information has probably already been lost, right? Or it's going to be lost today, or it will be lost probably in the next week. I mean, as an American, or as anyone, honestly, anyone on the internet right now, you can just assume that all of your information has been taken at some point, right? So Equifax, of course, was one of them, but there's been other attacks as well, right? And we know the most recent one, right, that we saw where whole bunch of Social Security numbers were lost, like every American, right? So you're already starting from a deficit, so you have to work harder. So all of this stuff, if you look on the screen now, everybody thinks about Equifax because your credit report, but they lost more than that, right? Remember, the credit report is what they have to show you that they use to determine your credit. It doesn't mean that was everything that Equifax had on you and these other companies. And of course, in the United States, there is not a law that protects us from companies just collecting your information. It is legal to collect your information. They got to follow some rules, but there's nothing stopping companies out there from collecting your personal information or buying it from other companies and then acting as data warehouses. And they do, and they often lose it, right? So you got to take a lot of this seriously and help other people as well. And on a personal note, I've been scammed, right? Most people have been scammed, right? For a lot of different things. And I always talk to people about, when I lost my paycheck in the military and then, had, all my bills bounced that day. I think on my bank, took it back, but ended up my credit card was stolen and used somewhere like an eBay India or something, right? So it's going to happen to you. So I'm going to teach you not only how to try to prevent it, but what to do in case it happens, right? Because in cybersecurity, right, we never say it's if, it's always when. And you need to be prepared for the day that it's going to be when. So one thing to understand is that your digital identity is associated to every single account that you create. If you create a username and password at a website, that is just another copy of you, right? And so always try to create as few possible accounts that you need to. Whenever possible, use login with Microsoft, login with Google, right? That is one less username and password that you have to worry about. And I am going to talk to you about username and passwords here real soon on some best practices. But to understand that each one of those identities that you create out there could be another you that gets hacked at some point in the future and is being used for some other reason, right? You have an old Facebook account you've never logged into, go close it down if you have access to it, right? You have old websites that, even if you don't remember, if you finally remember them, try to close them down whenever possible. But I will show you how to use a password vault here in a little bit, and that will help you collect this stuff. And then you can just go back through the vault and go, wow, I haven't been there in like 5 years. Time to delete that one, right? Go there and shut that one down. But always try to make sure, don't just go out there and, just create account after account after account. And if they don't require your information, don't give it to them. Right. A lot of times they're like, oh, like I bought something online. It was like a digital product. And they're like, give me your shipping address. I'm like, sure. 123 Anywhere Street, Nunya Business, Texas. Right. You know what I mean? Like that's the address they got. Like, why is this on here? Right. You going to send me the ones and zeros or something? No. Another thing too is just plan ahead, right? Plan ahead. So think about, and this is with everything, right? So if you have a house, plan ahead what happens in a fire, especially if you got kids in there, right? Plan ahead what happens if somebody gets sick in the house, right? Plan ahead what happens if you or maybe the teenager you're teaching how to drive, what happens when they get into a car accident, right? Make sure you plan ahead for cyber. You're going to get scammed at some point because a lot of them are very believable scams, right? And I told everybody the example of the one we just went through with a Facebook group in Houston for mini schnauzers. We got a mini schnauzer puppy. The entire Facebook group, right? There's like 9 admins and 1,000 people on there, and they're all fake accounts. The whole thing was fake, just trying to get one person after another to go in there, right? And think that everybody's buying these puppies and everything's going great to get them to send out their, their deposits or whatever, two, three, $400, right? We lost 100 on it. I mean, it was very realistic. It's just going to happen. So I want you to think ahead. And so as we go through a lot of this stuff, I'm going to teach you the questions you need to ask. Right? It is okay to question your bank or your credit card or other stuff as well, our companies, right? That's kind of one of the rights that we have is we can question. And if you don't feel like it's on the up and up or you don't feel like it's necessary, then don't do it, right? Because you never know when that'll come back to haunt you. And there's been many cases out there where people's accounts have been taken over. They didn't even know about it and it's being used for some illegal activity, right? Especially Facebook accounts that we don't have. Oh, that was a Facebook account I had 10 years ago. Well, now it's being used by a scammer or something out there, right? By a farm. And of course, just stay calm. Whenever anything happens, it's okay. Yeah, it's money, or yeah, it's my computer, or yeah, it's my data. But tomorrow the sun will rise again, right? No matter how bad an identity theft or cybersecurity scam it's going to be, or anything, the worst thing they can do, right, is what? Make you feel bad. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have debtor's prison in America, right? So, otherwise, I think I would have went to prison 40 years ago for the Columbia Tape House Club, because I swear I signed up for like 5 of those and never bought the other tapes back, right? So I had a lot of cassettes. If you're asking, Eddie Murphy Raw, that was the first tape I ever bought because it was exciting. So I saw Beverly Hills Cop, wanted to see his stand up. So let's talk about your financial stuff first. This is the most important thing, okay? We don't have a lot, so let's try to keep track of it. None of us are Elon Musk, you're right? At least you're not in this presentation, right? You know what I mean? If you're Elon Musk, but none of us are that rich where we can just throw cash out the door and go, it's okay, I got scammed. No, it's important. So this is, before I had that attack, this is the way my accounts looked like, my financial accounts, right? And a lot of you may already have this, and that's okay if you do. This is like 99% of people out there, right? I had a one checking account. Right. I had the gratuitous savings account that comes with it, which I never use because you only like withdraw money 4 times a month or transfer out of it, or 5 times a month or something. But this was mine. Everything came out of one account. Right. And this is the best way I could do to manage it. I knew when I got my military paycheck, I knew, all my bills were going to be on a certain day, right. And I knew how to manage that one account. And it was very easy to do. Well, what happens when you only have one compartment, right? One compartment. Well, if it's ever breached, then everything leaks out, right? So if you had a ship, and I always talk about sailing ships from like 100 years ago, they just had one deck. They got a hole in it, the whole ship sank, right? Modern ships, we compartmentalize, right? We try to spread it out and make sure that if something happens, right, we don't lose the entire ship. And so what I want you to do is consider this. Now, you don't have to do it as much as I do. You can do it more. I would encourage you to just try to find like the Goldilocks ground here. But this is the way my accounts look like now. And I'm going to explain this real quick and why this makes sense. First of all, if your bank doesn't let you create extra checking accounts or have these kind of features, find another bank. Right? There's tons of them out there that have free checking accounts, and you should not be paying for a checking account, not in this day and age. But a lot of us are loyal. But remember, companies, it's loyalty usually works both one ways with a bank, right? So I have a daily spending account. This is the credit card that I use every day. I use this for everything. I use it for online purchases. I use it for the gas pump. I use it when I go into the store. I use it for anything. I use it for the soda machine at work, right? Which charges me a ton of money, but I still love soda. So I use it for everything. I know that if my credit card gets stolen again, it is more than likely going to be this one right here. Okay, it's going to be this credit card account that is stolen. But I don't have much money in there. I only transfer in stuff as I need it. I need 20 bucks for lunch today. I transfer in 20 bucks, right? I'm really good at transferring on the little bank app, right? But that way, if it's ever breached, they're getting nothing out of it, right? They're not getting anything from me. And in cybersecurity, this is a technique that we use to defend against zero-day attacks, right? Zero-day attacks are attacks that we don't know they're coming. So if you don't know something's coming in an attack, then you try to limit the damage as much as possible. And also I have this second one here. So I have a second checking account, and I just keep this over here with my daughter labeled it with a label printer. It says backup. This is my, oh my God, they've hacked my account, or oh my gosh, I lost my credit card and I have to wait for a new one to come in the mail. I just transfer everything over into this other little checking account and use it for like the 7 days until I get the new one, right? No, nothing lost, no big deal out of it. And then when the money comes back, I go back to using this one. But I hated to wait 5 days every time I lost my debit card, right? It was such a pain in the butt to go back to using cash again, because I'm horrible at that as well. So I have two of them right off the bat. This one I don't use. It's a backup for emergencies. I keep like $5 or $10 in there, right, to make the bank happy. And then these are for my bills and stuff. And I'll start from the bottom one first, paychecks and deposits. Now, this account has no credit card attached to it. And it's only used for my draft payments, right? For example, the paycheck and other stuff that I do, right? My school, money that comes in. It only goes into this account. This is only for incoming, right? Because the problem is when I lost my account, well, then I had to go back and tell the army and other people, hey, I need you to change my auto pay. And everybody here knows that's easy to do, right? That's just fantastically easy to do all the time. No, 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 especially if you deal with the government a lot, it's not. So this way, I know this account is not going to get hacked. The only people that have this account are my employers. Now, of course, could that happen? Sure, but it's not likely, right? Very less likely. And there's no credit card attached to it, so no way for a scammer to get it, right? And I don't use this for payments. I don't use it for anything. This account number goes nowhere, right? Now, the other two I use for bills. I have one for the credit card bills that I have, like Netflix, Disney Plus, those kind of things, right? My daughter's musical instrument, those kind of things, right? All that stuff that comes out of this account, right? Now, I have separated it with the one below it because this is for drafts. And typically your auto drafts are things like utilities, the house, the car, right? The big things. And so I don't ever want them bouncing, and I don't ever want that account, to be lost. And of course, there's no credit card attached to that one either. So if I lose this one, worst case scenario, my Netflix goes overdue, right? Nothing in here is going to break the bank. My phone bill, everything, AT&T, whatever, it's all draft, right? I've set it up to draft wherever possible. If it's a utility or something I know is going to be every month, I have tried to set it up for a draft whenever possible. Everything else, however, is credit cards. And again, if I lose this credit card, worst case scenario, Disney Plus lapses for like a week or something until I get the new credit card there. Now, you can do it more than this. You can do it less than this. Find whatever works for you. This is what works for Jason. Okay. Right. This is what made the people who gave me my home loan think that I'm a money launderer. And this is only just these. Right. So, and also I do the same thing for the kids and the wife, right? She has two accounts. The girls have two accounts, right? They don't know it in their case, but they do because I know one day they're going to get scammed and I want their stuff to be in another account, right? So they can get to their other one and use it. But again, consider spreading out your accounts more than just the one account as we go through it. Other things too, just remember, find out what the rules are. Most importantly here, I won't drain the whole slide because I'm going to give these to you. Find out what the rules are at your bank for debit fraud and credit fraud. Now, credit cards, right, have a legal requirement that they must give you your money back within a certain amount of time, right? Debit cards do not. There's no law about debit cards, right? At least in most states, there's not yet. And there's definitely no federal law. So in some cases, if you lose money on a debit card or somebody steals your debit card, the bank is not legally required to give you that money back right away. Right? Some banks I've heard take 3, 4, 5 days, but make sure you know what your bank's policy is. Because, for example, my bank, which happened to be USAA, when I called them that morning and said, hey, I lost, what's going on? All my money's gone. Within like 3 hours, they put my money back. Right. And then it was based on, okay, we'll do the investigation and find out. And that's a great policy. And if your bank doesn't have that policy, look for a bank that does. Right? Look for banks that have more security stuff out there, right? There's a lot of things we can't change. We can't change our car loan. Most of us can't just like, oh, I'm just going to go move my car loan or my home loan, right? We're not doing that. But your checking account, you can, right? You don't have to be stuck at one place. Like I have a car loan that requires a checking account, but I just like auto transfer from my real account to that one every month before it pays, right? So, okay, you got your credit, checking account, but I'm not going to use it. So, but again, just make sure you look at what's available out there. And just real quick, don't let websites remember your credit card, especially if you don't trust them. A couple of big sites like Amazon, I do, and some other stuff is fine. But like, of course, and remember, I'm only trusting my one credit card that I know someday will get hacked. So it's not the worst case scenario for me. But until you do that, don't let them remember your card. Because if that account is ever breached, your card info is in there. And there are tons of scams at websites where they try to get you to reset your password, then log in and immediately buy like a gift card or something, right? And it's very, a lot of stores like Amazon and other places have getting really good at that, at preventing that kind of stuff, but it still can happen, right? It still can happen. And if you use a vault, like I'm going to show you in a little bit, I just autofill it every time from the vault. It's only in my vault, my secure encrypted vault, not on the website itself. And lastly, on the financial stuff, freeze your credit report. Okay, this will prevent a lot of pre-approved credit offers spam from coming to your physical mailbox. This will prevent a lot of, I mean, if not the majority possibility of identity theft, right? Identity theft is only there so they can open things in your name, right? They want to be Jason Edwards because they think they can get a credit card, right? Sucks to be them. It's not true, but whatever. So in this case, however, we just freeze our credit report. Now, I want to caution you because the three credit agencies, I look, and if anybody knows them, I consider them seriously ethically challenged for this. But when you log in, they always try to sell you this stuff, right? They will try to sell you a credit freeze and call it protecting your privacy. Why would I need to protect my privacy when they're the ones that hold the information? Shouldn't that kind of be their job? Just saying, right? So if just skip through this, right? Skip through this. Sometimes it won't even tell you, blah, blah, blah. But if you have a problem with it, just call them. Call them and freeze your credit report. By law, they must freeze your credit report when you ask it, and they must unfreeze your credit report when you ask for it. So if you're going to go to car loan, you just simply call the three credit reporting agencies or go on their website and say, thaw my credit for 24 hours. Go to the go to the auto dealership, apply for the loans. Tomorrow they get frozen again, right? But keep your credit frozen when you're not using it. This will eliminate most cases of identity theft out there. Not all of them, it's going to happen, right? But most of them. And if someone does, right, I had a friend of mine, they stole his identity and they got a boat loan, but his credit report was frozen. So the bank had to eat it. He didn't even have to go through the whole identity theft thing. It was the bank had to eat it because they're like, oh, his credit report was frozen. There was no way we should have been able to give him the loan, right? It was on them. Bank error in their favor, right? So bank error in your favor. All right, so passwords, right? By the way, it's the greatest scene for any movie when it comes to passwords. I love it. They're making another one. Kind of worried about it, but we'll see what happens. All right, so password vaults. Now, I use one called LastPass. You pick the one that works for you, right? This is, and again, I only give people examples, but you have to make your own decisions and own them. So go out and find one that works for you. If your entire ecosystem is Apple, maybe that's the one that works for you. If you only have Google and a Google computer, then sure, maybe Google will work for you. I have all of the above, right, in my life. So I use something like LastPass that's kind of vendor agnostic, right, that you can use it. The key thing about the password vault is this. The password you use to log into it should be the only hard one you have to remember in your life, right? And I use a passphrase. It's just a sentence, a very long sentence that's just not randomly going to be guessed, right? You know what I mean? Like, I love the moon because it's the backside of the sun, 1975, hyphen or whatever, right? It's some kooky thing like that, but it's easy for me to remember a very long passphrase. And then the vault will take care of the rest, right? So all of my passwords are giant 15 character garblygook, kind of passwords out there, which I thoroughly enjoy sending to my two older children every time they mooch the Netflix password off of me. Oh, here you go. Type this on in your TV. Good luck. Little passive aggressive revenge in my case there. But use a vault. You can put it on your phone. You can put it everywhere. It will remember websites. As you go to websites and log in, it will remember that for you. And then it will tell you if you reused that password before. And then you can just helpfully go in there. It'll have a link. You can go in there, you can click it, go there, change the password, put a giant one in there, and move on with your day. I've simply I think the last time I checked, like 350, 360 websites in my vault, right? And all of them have those giant passwords. There's not a single one that's reused, right? It took me a while to get there. I'll be honest with you, years ago. It took me a while to get there, but I'm there. The other thing that you can do with a vault is it usually lets you keep other information in there encrypted, right? So for example, all the kids' social security numbers, the credit cards, that kind of stuff, I keep in my vault, right? And it's encrypted. And they use a thing called zero knowledge, right? Which is what a lot of them are going to use nowadays, which is even the employees at LastPass in places can't see your stuff. So if you lose your password, by the way, that's a bad thing because it's going to reset it, right? Because even they can't recover your password. So also, we'll talk about MFA here in a little bit, next actually. Make sure that this, of all things, has multi-factor authentication on it, right? Make sure, it requires a passcode from your phone or something of that nature to log into your vault. Just don't let it where people can guess the username and password, because even though it's not usually likely, it's not impossible, right? Unless you use MFA. And again, nothing is impossible, but it makes it, but remember, we don't work on the impossible in cyber. We work on the highly unlikely. We want it to become highly unlikely is the best that we can be, right? So MFA, if you are allowed to set up MFA on your accounts, do so, right? Do so. Everything that allows it, set it up. It is painful. Like I just bought a new computer and had to reload it, and I had to go through like 17 MFAs in like 1 hour, right? And it was kind of redundant. Every time I go to my bank, I have to get a code. Yeah, it's painful after a while. It gets kind of boring, but it is important, right? Because odds of them hacking you with MFA, again, is extremely unlikely. Is it possible? Sure. There could be vulnerabilities in the software for MFA. Those things can kind of happen out there, but it's absolutely unlikely, right? So again, use MFA wherever possible. And again, remember what I said down here at the bottom, use SSO whenever possible. Just don't create a second username or password unless you have to, right? I trust Google and Microsoft, right? Even though they've had problems, they are still better off on the whole username password thing than I am, right? So um, protection on your PC. Use antivirus. Now, here's the thing. I use the Microsoft one that comes with Windows 10, 11. I've never had a problem. I'm going to talk to you about some other problems to avoid in another slide, but make sure you're using an antivirus and it's up to date. Don't use free antivirus protection. Don't use free VPNs, right? I'm not saying all of them are bad, but most of them are, right? They're going to be out there. There's been a lot of cases where free antivirus software, free PC protection software, free VPNs is just hackers in another company getting access to your computer. And they can make a pretty website that looks legit. They can do all the things they're supposed to, right? But you're just giving them access. Remember, VPNs work both ways, right? We'll talk about it, but use a reputable one because it works both ways, unfortunately. And of course, just make sure that you don't ignore it. If it tells you not to do something, take its word. All right. Yeah, they built that in there for a reason. Chrome, Google Chrome, Edge, Firefox, they don't want you getting hacked with their browser, and they take the best, as much as possible, they take the most precautions. So if it says, hey, think about this before you do it, really, really think about it, right? Um, Okay, backing up. Now, this is not like the old days, right? I don't expect everybody here to buy an external hard drive unless you have a lot of stuff, right? Like terabytes, but don't buy an external hard drive. Use the ones that you can get out there very easy. Okay, I will tell you, I use Microsoft OneDrive because it comes with Windows for all of my stuff. And I have a Google Drive for all the big stuff, like a 5 terabyte Google Drive for other stuff that I do. But for the majority of everything I do and my kids do and everybody else does, it's OneDrive. Okay. It comes with Windows. It's very easy. And you can get a terabyte OneDrive for 69 bucks a year with an entire copy of Microsoft Office. You get Office and everything for 69 bucks a year. If you want it for 5 people, you can get it for 99. So I've just been doing the 99 thing one for like, I think as long as they've been doing it, 20 years, maybe, right? It's been out there 15, at least 15 years. It's been out there. The advantage of that is you don't have to think about it, right? Every time you open a file on your computer, it's just there in the cloud. Okay. The other thing that I like OneDrive over the other ones, and again, I have not compared all of them, so I'm not an expert on this. Again, make your own decisions, right? However you want to do it. But OneDrive also has a thing called a vault, right? A protected vault. And so it's actually a second encrypted drive within a drive that requires multi-factor authentication to use. So that's where I keep like the copies of the social security cards, the birth certificates, the marriage papers, anything else that I think is important is going to be in that second vault, not just in my OneDrive, because again, it's always possible that they may be able to get into my computer, but they will not be able to get into that vault unless I use my multi-factor authentication. And I don't have to think about this, right? The other thing I'm going to tell you about this is awesome for ransomware. Ransomware is not just things that happen to a business. There are millions of people every month out there that are getting ransomware on their own computer, right? At one time, there was like 60% of all Minecraft mods were ransomware. Like they just put them online expecting kids to go download it, and they did, and they'd run it, and it was some kind of virus or spyware or ransomware that was on there. We'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. So, but if you have your stuff backed up, now here's the thing: if you get ransomware on your computer, is your OneDrive going to get ransomware? Yes, it's going to get encrypted, and it's going to copy it right up to the cloud, except for that vault. That vault will not, right? Now, but here's the thing: Microsoft, Google, all of them. You just go online, do the little thing. There's a form that you fill out, and they will flip your OneDrive back to normal. it'll erase all of that ransomware crap that's on there. And then all you need to do is follow the directions on another slide here in a minute about wiping out your computer and restarting it. You don't have to pay the ransom. So all those, again, how many people here keep 20 years worth of photos on? Of course, we all do, right? I have the OneDrive app on my phone, my iPhone. It just uploads every time, right? So all of my photos and stuff, the pictures that I take are just available right there on my computer. And I don't want to lose those, right? And again, you can keep them in multiple places. I encourage that. If you want to keep them in Google Photos too, if that's what you're good with, then do it, right? Again, use your own judgment, use your own whatever works for you on these kind of solutions, but I'm just giving you a way, right? This is a way to do it. So malware, what happens when you do get ransomware or you think that there's a virus on your computer? The very first thing is disconnect it from the internet. It's going to tell you, don't do this or I'll erase your files. But you know what it's doing while you are connected to the internet? It's copying them to wherever, Jerkwad Central is, where they're running the ransom. Okay. I would much rather have my stuff destroyed than have someone out there, get access to it, right? I would much rather have it destroyed than have someone get access to it. But if you followed the previous slide, which is doing the backups and stuff, right, then you're not losing anything by this, right? But disconnect it from the internet first thing, because they are sucking the files out of your computer. That's a known thing, and it's called a double extortion attack. They're going to come back later and go, oh, look at all the photos I found, and send them to you and tell you if you don't pay them, then they're going to show everybody else in the world or whatever it happens to be. Okay. Enter safe mode. When you reboot the computer, you'll press a certain key on there, go into safe mode, and then tell it to, you can either restore it from there or you can run other stuff to try to clear it out, right? And if at all possible, if you need to, take it to the Best Buy Geek Squad, right? I know a lot of IT people, we tease like, oh, the Geek Squad. They're actually very good at what they do. I love them to death. I tell people to go there all the time. If there's other PC repair places, that's fine. If you trust them, right? You know what I mean? If they've been around for a while, sure, do it. I would not go on Craigslist to find somebody to fix my computer. Unless they're a reputable business, right? But take it to the Best Buy Geek Squad, pay whatever they're going to charge you, $100 or whatever, and have them help you wipe out your computer and start over. That's just the best way to do it, right? I would. I'm an IT professional. If I thought for a minute that was the best way I need to do it, that's exactly it. If my kids have a problem, that's exactly what I tell them to do, right? I try to buy their computers with warranties like that, like the Best Buy one where they can just go in there at any time, especially since they're in other states, But don't feel anything. Don't. Oh my God, I got an antivirus. I'm embarrassed. I mean, I got a malware. I'm embarrassed. Why? Just take it in there. They've seen it all before, right? Take it in there and have them do it. And again, remember I said, if you're using a cloud service, you've lost nothing. You've lost nothing in this whole scenario. Wi-Fi, I'm not going to tell you to change your home Wi-Fi password every month. That's ridiculous. You don't need to, but be careful with Wi-Fi, especially when you're out and about using it. Okay. Now on your phone, right? We all have phones. On our phones, there's certain apps that are going to have their own protection built in. Your bank app on your phone is not relying on your phone to encrypt. It's doing it itself, right? So some of those apps are going to have their own set of encryption in there. But if you use like a lot of the web out there on Wi-Fi and stuff like that, then have a VPN. Now, if you take your home computer, your personal computer, and you take it to Starbucks to do homework and stuff, like my students are in this, then use a VPN. Don't use a free one. There's reputable, and go look up a reputable one like Nord or one of the other ones out there. Nord's a pretty reputable one, by the way. It's the one I use. So use one of those, right, that is out there, but use a VPN when you're at Starbucks. And if your VPN stops working while you're at Starbucks, it's because you're connected to a Wi-Fi access point that's a hacker. Because the first thing they do is stop your VPN so that you think it's a problem with your VPN to turn it off. Oh, look, I turned off my VPN. My internet works just fine. No, it's the hacker doing that, right? And again, a lot of stuff is going to be, now the other thing too is you're like, oh, but I use secure websites. How's that hacker going to steal my stuff? They're using a proxy. You're not secure to the website. You're secure to their proxy. And then they're going to secure it out there. We do it in business all the time. When you're in your company and you think you're a secure website to eBay, you're not, right? You're to our proxy on the inside of the website, on the inside of the company, so we can look at your stuff, right? To make sure that you're not uploading company information and things like that. So again, just because you see the secure icon doesn't mean you are. Right? There are ways to defeat that. And so if you're going to use your computer a lot outside the house, right, then make sure that you're using a VPN. They're very cheap and they usually come with unlimited accounts, right? So like Nord, I can use it on everything. It's not a big deal. I can use it on many, many things at once. Other stuff in here too is that, I should, if you have a router within the past 3 or 4 years, don't worry about the security. It's probably going to be fine. If you want to log in and look at it, I will tell you though, most problems with people's home Wi-Fi becomes when they log in there to start changing stuff and they don't know what they're doing. Don't, right? If you have one for the past couple of years, it is probably secure. But if you want to log in there and look at it, feel free. Especially if you want to make sure that it's being updated. Right now, most of them are, if they're pretty new, they're going to update themselves, but it's okay to go in there and check to see if it has the latest firmware. Okay. Or at least if there's a button that says that's not unchecked, that says update automatically, check that button, right? Again, you don't really have a choice if you're Windows 11 or a Mac nowadays, right? Just do it. However, remember that there's other software on your computer that may need updates, right? So if you use, so again, don't just be one of those people who just install stuff over and over and over and over and never gets it off your computer. Every once in a while, go into your apps folder and just delete stuff, right? Uninstall it off of your computer, right? If you haven't been using it or you don't remember the last time you used it, oh, I just tried this out, uninstall it and get rid of it off your computer. That's just another vulnerability, right, that you could have. And especially if you're not using it, right? I will tell you at least once a year, I wipe out my computer. I've just been doing it my whole life, right? Because I'm a nerd. But every once a year, every so often, I just wipe out my computer and reload everything again, right? Because I have no idea all the stuff I've done over the past year and a half. I'm not telling you to do that. But again, try to make sure you just keep most of that off of your computer if you don't need it. If you're not using it, get rid of it, right? And make sure that you're allowing Windows to update. It's not going to give you a choice. There are ways to go in there, by the way, with Windows and tell it to never update again. Don't be that person, right? Even though the CrowdStrike thing happened, again, that's not usually something we have to deal with, right? That's why that was so shocking, right? Is that it was so out of character that something like that could happen that bad. I mean, there are things that have happened, don't get me wrong, but not on that scale. It's unlikely. Again, remember in cybersecurity, we don't deal with impossible, we deal with unlikely. That's the best we can do, right? But if you have backups and stuff, remember, then what's the worst you lost? Just a trip to Geek Squad or something, right? File sharing, we always like to send files over the internet. Oh, okay, I need to send, the lawyer asked for a copy. I went through an adoption, right? It's a whole bunch of stuff. And you bet every single file he got was through OneDrive, right? With a secure password. Right? I'm sending everything to him. Here you go, right? And they do the same thing back and forth. Just make sure that you do that. If you have Microsoft OneDrive or Google Drive, you can do that. I've never really done it in Google Drive, to be honest with you. I'm sure that's a feature though. But OneDrive is just real easy. I can do it right there from File Explorer on my computer. Right click share, right? And it lets me do it right there. If not, you can do it on the website, but always do it. And if you have to, password protect them, right? Send it in a second email. Don't send the password in the same email, right? Because if someone hacks that email, right, if they get it, well, there's the link and there's the password, right? So try to send them separately if it's a very important kind of thing. And in most cases, you're going to be fine, right? As long as it's not something personal, right? It's okay to send it out there and share it. And also be careful with the whole anybody who has the link can edit this. That's the default in a lot of systems, right? Make sure you select that and say, no, only the people who can with this link can view it, right? So it wouldn't be a cybersecurity training without talking about social engineering. But let me tell you the number one thing to keep you safe with phishing, because it's not that you're going to get phished. It's not that you're going to get scammed. Take a breather. Okay. If you get an email that says, oh my God, you've just been charged $499 for the Geek Squad, right? That's my favorite kind of scam that's going out there. Just take a break for a second. It's probably not true. And if it is, any legitimate company is going to give you your money back. So Best Buy would totally give you your money back if that was a real thing. Okay. But just take a breather. The reason that people get scammed in most cases is because they get our emotions involved. And when your emotions are involved, unless you've been trained to do it, like you've been in the military for a couple of decades, your emotions get involved, then you make bad decisions. Okay. I still remember one day I got one from Amazon and I worked there and it was it was legit looking, right? And the only thing that stopped me from having a sweat was when it got down to the price. And it was like a Rolex watch for $15,000. It was charged to my credit card. And I'm like, haha, I don't have a single credit card or all of them together that would have paid for that watch. So, but it kind of got me. It was pretty good, right? And sometimes they do. Sometimes you're like, wow. My favorite scam out there is the whole, I know what you've been doing on your computer and I'm going to tell everybody unless you go to this, give me this Bitcoin money, right? Of course not, right? Just take a breather. And if you have to, call somebody, right? Go on what's the line, ask somebody about it, ask a friend. What I want you to be is the person that your friends call, right? That's kind of the goal of this whole training, is to be that person. And sometimes it's just two people working together will go, that's totally a scam, right? That's totally a scam. Sometimes they're good. Don't get me wrong. We can't stop all of them. But a lot of cases, if you just step back and take a breather, right, you'll make a much better decision in a few minutes, right? Once you've thought about it. And again, report it, especially if it's inside your company, report it. Microsoft has a little button where you can report phishing now inside of it, inside your email and stuff. I encourage you to do it whenever possible. At a minimum, it's going to make sure that goes to your junk mail from now on, right? But again, always possible. And this is my one favorite slide. Okay. I just I want to dispel all notions that there are someone out there making illegal software as a Robin Hood. Okay. Right. And is that possible? Sure. I highly doubt anybody out there is making a cracked version of Adobe Acrobat because they just have a vendetta against paying for Adobe Acrobat. No, most illegal software has spyware or other stuff embedded in it, command and control software. And here's the problem with that. When you download that software, it's going to ask you the one thing, right? The one thing that it needs. Hey, can you give me administrator access while I install this? Oh, absolutely. And then it's just going to do whatever in the heck it wants. It's going to open your firewall. It's going to install the malware. It's going to do other stuff that's on there. And you're not going to know. You're just going to be happy there using, Adobe Acrobat for free. And it'll probably work. Don't get me wrong, it'll probably work. That's how they get you. But again, right? It's malware. I don't think I know of anybody out there, or I've heard of anybody out there who just does it because they just want to have people have free video games, right? Grand Theft Auto was famous for a long time because the hacked version of it online had Bitcoin mining software built in that would run your video card at 100% mining Bitcoin for hackers overseas. Right. So while you're playing Grand Theft Auto, it's wearing out your video card and making money for somebody on the other side of the planet. Right. Yeah. And right cut, you're absolutely right. Yeah, exactly. It's, you just can't trust them. Right. Another thing too is when you go out there and you start, oh, like, I'm looking for a problem on my computer. Oh, here's a link to a piece of software like Quora and stuff like that. They'll have links and stuff on there. Oh, try this and stuff. Don't, don't, right? Don't. There's other ways to do it. Go use legitimate, go to Microsoft and ask the question on their forums, right? You'll get an answer, right? Go to the company's website, Google, wherever, and ask the question there sometimes. Just understand that you need to be paranoid a little and a lot, some cases, right? When you're using this kind of stuff on the internet. All right, so let's do the Kahoot. And remember, so do me a favor. When we do this, you can use your phone, you can use the computer, however you want to do it. But we'll give everybody about a minute to join. So here it is right here. Here's the information. I will expand the QR code if you want. Just use your phone to do this. And the winner is going to get the book and the trophy. So let's see, free music and a virus, Derek, right? Yeah, exactly. So, and it is not letting me copy. Why would you not let me copy this? Okay. Anyway, I'll use can't use a screenshot. It's off. So here you can use this QR code or you can use the game pin. Let me remember send me a private message with your real name and email address so I can ask you for your address later to send you the book as we do it. And I'll put the link here in the chat as well. So there's the direct link. So I'll give everybody until about 12:45 my time, so another minute, and then we'll kick it off. And remember, the faster you answer the question, the more answers, the more points that you get, right? And this should take us, tops maybe a minute or about 10 minutes or so. I'm trying not to make sure we go over, so it should be close because I was probably being a little too wordy. Zach, right? No, it's not. Although you can trust me, right? I'm a guy on the internet. Yeah. So remember, if you win, send me your email address because I don't know who Jolly Unicorn is, although that's kind of awesome. So, and I don't want 5 people pretending to be Jolly Unicorn when this is over if that Jolly Unicorn takes it. So I'll give everybody about another 30 seconds and we're going to kick it off. Remember, the faster you answer, the more points you get, although you get 0 points for answering it incorrectly. And so I'm trying to have fun with these. These are not all serious questions. So we should have a little fun with this. Okay. This is not, none of you have to worry. I will not be grading you for this in our class if you're one of my students. So if you're my former student, you're like, don't have to deal with that anymore. All right. A few more seconds. Anybody else want me to wait? Okay, we got 11. Yeah, I turned the music off. You don't have to listen to the music, but I do like the Matrix wallpaper. That's yeah. Well, I'm almost stuck by that movie. The first one. The first one. Okay, we're not really talking about the other ones. Talking about the first one. And Matrix 4 didn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think they're going to make one. It would be a bad idea if they did. Okay. That's the land, the dreamland I live in, is that there was no Matrix 4. All right. All right, good. Let's go ahead and get started. So again, use your phone however you want to do it. Questions will be on the screen. You'll get a few seconds to answer it, and then it's a few seconds to read the question, and then it's going to come right up there. Okay. All right. What is the best way to secure your Wi-Fi network against your tech-savvy neighbor who loves free internet? Okay. 20 seconds on the clock. Choose your answer. And remember, if everybody answers, it'll go on to the next slide. So still got three more in there, three more possibles. All right, good. It's going to be enable WPA3 encryption. By the way, if you missed this one, you can still come back. Remember, it's all about the points. This is like Family Feud. You just got to get to the third one to win, right? You can always lose the first two, but you got to win that third one, right? So enable WPA3 encryption if it's not there, right? If you have to be able to do it, and then name it Virus Central. Okay, you can name it whatever you want, but I just thought that'd be funny. All right, here we go. Let's see who's on top. Stellar Wombat. All right, and here we go. What is the risk of downloading illegal software? Good. You might end up with malware or face legal consequences. The other ones would be funny. I'm going to skip the little award screen here real quick once we see it. There we go. Speed it up. What should you do with unused software? I do like the Viking funeral idea. Right. Uninstall it to reduce volume. Man, you guys are fast. Holy cow. Nailed it. Good. All right. It's a battle up there. You guys are all within like 200 points. That's just like one question. It's not even one question. All right. Here we go. What is a potential risk of using the same email address for multiple online accounts? You'll receive the same spam twice. That's possible. Probably not the answer, but it's possible. And that is so true. I was a Super Mario person. Yeah. All right, good. If one account is compromised, others might be at risk too. Absolutely. Good job, everybody. You guys are nailing it. Oh, how? Look at that. Jolly Unicorn up there. Nice. Might have given that one the. What should you limit when managing your digital identity? For the person who messaged me, yes, those are all Legos. I have a bunch more coming, and those are all minifigures. I have 400 minifigures. Very proud of that. If you're in my classes, I told you this. So very proud of my Lego collection. My wife is like, if the house burns down, we get all the insurance money. I was like, no, I would die in my office trying to defend the Lego collection with a fire extinguisher. That's where they would find my body in here. All right, yes, giving out personal info like it's candy is what you should limit doing, right? You should definitely not be doing that. All right, good. Now remember, password, but that's not for personal information sharing, right? Remember, the question is contextual, but good. It's okay. You still got plenty of time here. Plenty of time. What should you do after removing malware from your PC? What should you do after removing malware from your PC? I like the motivational pep talk because sometimes my computer gets the opposite of a motivational pep talk, right? Are you kidding me? All right, good. Initiate cloud restore or reinstall the software. All right, good. Good, good. All right. Why is it risky to click on unsubscribe links and unsolicited emails? Your inbox will burst into flames. That would be funny. Little flame, you know. There was a Happy 99 virus in 1999. You'd click it and it would show fireworks. You're like, ooh, as it went through your email and deleted everything, renamed stuff. But it was a pretty virus. Yeah. All right, it confirms your email address to spammers. Yeah, never ever click links in a spam email. Never ever do it. They're not unsubscribing you. And remember, some of the stuff you know, but remember, I want you to teach this to other people, right? So a lot of people don't know that. Which of the following could be a red flag indicating a social engineering attack? Which of the following could be a red flag indicating a social engineering attack? A request for sensitive information from someone in a rush. Yep, that's called pretexting. They're trying to get you to hurry up and make a decision, right? That's an actual technique. It's called pretexting, kind of like car salesman or car warranty, used car warranty thing. Like, if you don't decide today, we're going to charge you more. Sure. Okay. What is the benefit of not allowing websites to remember your card? By the way, if you call back, they'll just give you the same price. They'll make an exception. They'll tell you. Right. It reduces the risk of your card being used without permission. Absolutely. All right, here we go. What is a potential danger of using browser extensions? These are insidious sometimes. You got to make sure you're using the right ones. There was a couple of Chrome extensions that had millions of users and they were basically spyware. Yeah. I'm not dissing Chrome, right? I use Chrome for a long time. It just happens to be a lot on that store. Although I don't know much about the Microsoft store. I just know that I only use like the extensions I have up here are all pretty reputable ones that I know. They could be collecting and sharing your data without your knowledge, and that's what happens a lot of times. All right, Speedy Pony, moving up. What is an often overlooked aspect of securing mobile devices? I like the tiny seatbelt idea. Penguin evangelist. Get it? Yeah. Unfortunately, for people like Derek who know me personally, I have a horrible sense of humor. All right, disabling Bluetooth and NFC when not in use. Wow. All right, there we go. Thanks, Eric. What encryption should you enable on your Wi-Fi network? I'm going to be honest with you, this is my favorite joke picture. Like, this guy should have got an Emmy for that. Like, I've seen, like, that is a great idea. Like, little girl soccer team with costumes and he's Darth Vader. Perfect. I'm pretty sure he didn't say this. Some guy on the internet did, but that would have been awesome. That'd have been epic. All right, WPA3 or WPA2? Absolutely. We used to have one called WEP. You could crack it in like 15 minutes. That was like 2004 technology. We could do it in 2004 with it. It'd be like seconds today. What is the purpose of enabling multi-factor authentication? Secret agent. All right, to add an extra layer of security to your accounts, right? I do like the secret agent one though. I'm agreeing with whoever checked that one. Wasn't the right answer, but I'm totally agreeing with it. What's the worst thing that can happen if you respond to a phishing email from a Nigerian prince? I think that should be a thing. The Google caption should have Sarah Connor looking at you on the third one. I'm picking all the crosswalks, Google. Come on. I hate that. Yeah, you might lose your money and end up sharing a one bedroom with the prince. Absolutely. Yep. Okay. What should you consider when setting up security questions for account recovery? Scammed off. Thank God for memes. I don't know whoever created it, but that person should have got a Nobel Prize. I think it'd have been an utterly Nobel Prize worthy event. All right. Use questions with answers only you know, but aren't easily guessable. Look, for the longest time, one of my banks thought that the city I met my wife in was the word Tinder. So it wasn't true, but it was funny and no one would have guessed it. Don't be calling my bank people trying to guess that when I changed it. It's now Walmart. I'm just kidding. Random. It is some location, but it's random. What should you do to if you first suspect malware on your computer? So true. Disconnect from the internet. Man, you guys are fast. Holy cow. We're getting there. You only got 5 minutes left. That's why. All right, skipping on through. How many questions we got left? Which method is least effective for securing your Wi-Fi network? All right, 3 more questions. Oh, this was a slow one. Is least effective. Remember, sometimes it's about eliminating the ones you know are good. This is a hard one. You guys are like, I was cruising. Hide your SSD is the least effective. You can do it and it doesn't hurt, but it just makes it harder for everything to find it and it doesn't really secure it because we have tools that can just find hidden SSDs like very easily. All right. 2 more, 3 more. All right. To protect your online privacy from snoopers, I'm going to skip through that real quick just so we get to the next one. What does a password vault help you with? All right. Storing and managing passwords. Last question. Here we go. This is it. This will determine it. Why should you compartmentalize your financial accounts? The green one is exactly the one I would have chosen. Right. To reduce risk if one account is compromised. All right. So let's see who won. Royal Pigeon. Good. Okay. Number 2, Smart Wombat. And number 1 is Jolly Unicorn. So all 3 of you send me your email addresses in the chat, please, private. Everybody do a private message and send them to me. And I will, you're all going to get something right here.